Today we are making some In-N-Out but vegan, and I've eaten my fair share of double doubles before going vegan, so I can confidently say that these are just as good, if not better. And we're going to do some animal style burgers as well as the fries, and I want to go over some other secret menu items as well as an important step that most people seem to miss, so let's get that going. Now, animal style is where we take a double double and add some extra sauce, pickles, and a bunch of grilled onions. Oh, and we also gotta grill the patty in some mustard. So for the onions, I suggest getting yourself about 3 pounds worth of yellow or brown onions. Dice those up, and unlike me, try to dice them the same size, as I ended up with some onions that were perfectly caramelized and some that were just nicely grilled. But you know what? It didn't really matter. This thing was out of this world, so don't sweat it. Speaking of sweating, to cook these onions, let's get 2 tablespoons of vegan butter and 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil. Over medium-high heat, melt the butter, and once it starts to get a little bubbly, toss in your onions and stir them around. Now look, getting onions to turn this color takes some time. I know there are hacks out there to do it faster, and I've tried a few of them, but they never turn out the way I like, so for me, I go with the old tried and true. But if you like one of those hacks to speed things up, by all means, knock yourself out. But all we need to do is stir these onions every couple of minutes, watching them to make sure they don't get too dark too fast. If they do, just lower the heat, but after about 10 minutes or so, toss in some salt and sugar, which is going to help with the flavor and the browning. If the onions start to stick to the pan, you can deglaze with water as needed, but cooking these onions is essentially just a lot of waiting and stirring, so grab a book or watch a movie and just keep your eyes on them and stir them as they need it. And this batch took me around 45 minutes to cook to my liking, and in my book, that's totally worth it. In fact, before going vegan, I made these at home to avoid waiting in the infamous line at In-N-Out. I figured this took me less time and I didn't have to put on any pants or leave the house. Plus, you're gonna have plenty of leftovers, which you can use on more burgers the next day. But once your onions are looking something like this, you are done, and we can move on to making the sauce. And this sauce is definitely of the Thousand Island variety, so we're gonna start with 1 cup of vegan mayo, and I'm gonna use this fun new measuring cup that I got. And then after that, we're going to do a 1/4 cup of ketchup, 2 tablespoons of dill relish, which I was low on, so I had to use a little sweet relish. Both will work fine. One is just a bit sweeter, so use whatever you like. Then 1 tablespoon of vegan what's this here sauce, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then some salt and pepper to taste. Whisk that up and adjust the seasoning if needed, and that is your vegan In-N-Out sauce. And for the buns, I'm using some Wonder Bread, which from what I can tell are accidentally plant-based, but you can use something like these Dave buns or check out my McDonald's but cheaper video where I do a deeper dive into vegan buns. But get your white buns of choice, just make sure they are of the smaller kind, as this will affect the size of your burger patties. Which is important because In-N-Out uses 2-ounce patties, which are half the size of a normal burger patty. And in my opinion, this is the secret to replicating a double-double that I think a lot of folks overlook. If you search online for other copycat recipes, a lot of them feature typical 4-ounce patties, and those are just way too big. Not only will this affect the structural integrity, but the taste, as it throws off the balance of the entire burger. Bigger is not always better, and this is proof. So I highly recommend using a scale to weigh out 2-ounce balls of plant-based meat. Oh, and I'm using Impossible and So Delicious American cheese, by the way, but more on that in a second. And for some reason, I was nailing the 2-ounce patties right out of the gate. That never happens, especially on camera, so huzzah to that. But once you got your 2-ounce balls of meat, you can form them like I usually do with a cookie cutter that should be the same size or slightly bigger than your buns. Or you could try my new favorite way, which is to simply use my burger iron here and smash them between 2 pieces of burger paper. Not only is this a faster way to form your patties, but you're going to get more surface contact with the griddle, resulting in better browning, which equals better flavor. As you can see here, the one I formed in the cookie cutter only got brown around the edges, so go for the smash style if you can, and you can totally use a spatula to smash or whatever you got on hand. For the cheese, like I said, I'm using this So Delicious American stuff, and it's one of my favorites. It melts pretty well and tastes great, so get it if you can, but I also like Follow Your Heart's American slices as well. And I don't usually like tomatoes on my burger, but I think it's necessary for the California style burgers that In-N-Out makes. But try to get some beefsteak tomatoes and see if you can find some that are the same size as your buns if possible. And now for the lettuce, it has to be iceberg. I don't want to see any fancy arugula or baby spinach. Get out of here with that stuff, buddy. And use whatever pickles you like, but for me, these crappy pickles are my favorite for these kinds of burgers. Since I'm pretty sure In-N-Out doesn't use artisanal pickles either, I really do think these cheaper pickles are better in this kind of burger. All right, now that we have our ingredients, let's make an animal style double-double, and it's worth noting that this recipe is on my blog as well as in my cookbook along with a bunch of other fast food copycats, so check it out if you are interested. But first, as always, toast your buns. You can do them either in butter or mayo, but I like to do a simple dry toast as I find this keeps them from getting soggy. So let them rest on a wire rack so they don't steam themselves either. Then over medium-high heat, add 2 of your 2-ounce patties, season them with some salt and black pepper, and you're going to cook those for about 3 minutes or so. You can also heat up your grilled onions if they've cooled off at this point. Now, right before you flip your burgers, give them a squirt of some yellow mustard. If you've never tried this, you are in for a treat, unless you hate mustard, in which case, my condolences. So flip those suckers, add a slice of vegan American cheese to each, a few squirts of water to the pan, and cover for 30 seconds or so, and then bam, we got some beautiful cheeseburgers. And as you can see, the smaller patties means our cheese is going to totally ensconce the burgers as well, and you might even get some crispy edges where the cheese hits the pan. If you're a nerd and take photos of your burgers, you can trim the cheese a bit so it looks a bit more like this, but that's totally optional and unnecessary otherwise. Now all we gotta do is build our burger, so start with some sauce on the bottom bun, our pickles, a slice of tomato, some fancy iceberg lettuce, our cheeseburgers, and then some grilled onions, more sauce, and then our top bun. And naturally, I gotta wrap this up like they do at In-N-Out. If you can, I suggest you do the same. It enhances the whole experience. Just get some of this deli paper, fold it into a triangle, and then swaddle the burger like so. And like I said, I've eaten a ton of these before going vegan, and this animal-free one really does hit all the notes. In fact, my non-vegan neighbor Mark said it was spot on. Everything works so well, the sauce kind of ties the whole thing together. The onions, meat, and cheese are salty, savory, rich, and a little sweet. The pickles cut through all of that, and then the lettuce and tomato add a nice bright freshness to contrast with everything else. Now that being said, if you don't want to cook those onions for 45 minutes, another option is to do a grilled whole onion, which is another secret menu hack that I used to get sometimes, and it's essentially what it sounds like. You take a whole slice of white onion, like so, and then grill it in some oil. I used an excessive amount, so maybe go a little lighter on the oil than I did, but once it's grilled to your liking, simply top your burger with it like so and dig in. And to me, this was fantastic. Not nearly as good as animal style, but considering it takes about 6 minutes instead of 45, it's totally worth it. Also, if you like spicy stuff like me, you can get some of these chilies, chop them up, and then throw those on top of the burger as well. And this is good, of course, but to be honest, I kind of just prefer eating a whole pepper right before I take a bite, but both are super good and spicy, so do whatever you like. And last but not least, the animal fries. And since In-N-Out's fries are garbage, we can just get some of these frozen fast food fries, which are streets ahead. You can make yours from scratch, but personally, instead of doing all that and deep frying, I'm gonna be lazy and smart and throw these in the air fryer. And then for the melted cheese, here's a little trick. Get your griddle hot, squirt some water, and then slap down your cheese and let it melt for like 10 seconds, and then quickly and confidently scoop it up with a spatula and let it rest on your fries. Then just top it with some special sauce and some grilled onions, and congratulations, you just made animal style fries better than In-N-Out, my friend. So I really do hope you all try this out. The recipe is on my blog and cookbook, and if you do, let me know how it goes. And for more info on fast food copycats, check out this video where I make some vegan McDonald's, and until then, I'll see you all next time.